Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, I am excited today to share with you my thoughts on a new release from the Criterion Collection. Of course, my friend Ken over at Mid-Level Media has a new themed month for the month of July. Of course, every month this year, he has done a different theme for the month, and other YouTubers, other BlueTubers on the platform have had an opportunity to participate in that. And this video here review is my entry in a Criterion summer. So this month's theme is Criterion. Of course, no better time because this is the July Barnes & Noble sale month. So a great time to pick up Criterion titles at Barnes & Noble. But every month this year, he's done a really good job with different themes around Nick Cage movies, Sylvester Stallone movies, buddy cop movies. And this month, it is all about Criterion. So if you haven't had a chance to, go over to his channel and check it out. Check out the great content that he has over there in the world of physical media, as well as some of the other entries in a Criterion summer. So for this video here, I wanted to talk about a film that has recently been released in the Criterion Collection. It is a film that I had a chance to pick up this past week at Barnes & Noble, and I'm very glad that I did. This is a film that has gotten a ton of critical acclaim, and after having seen this film, I can definitely say it's deservedly so. This is Drive My Car. This is the 2021 film for Ryusuke Hamaguchi, and this film won the Academy Award for Best International Feature. Of course, The Worst Person in the World, a film that I recently reviewed on this channel, was also nominated in that category. Phenomenal film, I really enjoyed. This is the film that actually won Best International Feature, and it is directed by director Ryusuke Hamaguchi. It is my introduction to his filmography. I have not seen any other films from this director. I had a chance to scroll IMDb here just a few minutes ago to see, have I seen any other films from Hamaguchi? And I don't believe I have. This is the first, and boy, it's a really good one. This film comes in at 179 minutes, so right under 3 hours. It's from 2021. It's in color. It has 5.1 surround, and check this out. In Japanese, English, Korean, Korean Sign Language, German, Mandarin, Tagalog, Indonesian, and Malay with English subtitles. So those are the languages that you're going to hear in this film, and that is such a big part of this movie. And there is so much I can say about Drive My Car that I'm not going to get a chance to say in this review, and there's sort of a good reason for that. I don't want to spoil this movie for you. This is a film that I can definitely recommend as a film that you want to go into it knowing just a little bit about it. And that's sort of the way I try to go about my reviews in general, is just dot around the edges a little bit, give you an idea of what the film's about, and just give you my general impression of how I felt about the film and whether or not I would recommend the movie to you as an experience. And overall, I can tell you that experience is really the best way I can describe watching this film, because this is a nearly 3-hour film. It is very meditative. It sort of has a first part that takes maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes or so. And then it gets into the main part of the film. So it sort of has a little bit of an epilogue at the beginning, and then it goes into the main story, and then you have sort of a prologue little piece at the end. It is a very beautifully constructed story. It's a beautifully shot story, and I really enjoyed this film. Meditative is a great way to put it, because there are stretches in this movie where, of course, you're in the car. You have these two main characters who I will read off here. The main characters in this film, of course, are Hidetoshi Nishijima. He played the main character. You have as Yusuke Kafuku. So he's the main character in this film, Yusuke Kafuku. You have Toko Miura, who played Masaki Awatari, who is right here. She is his driver in this film, Drive My Car. You also have Rika Kirishima as Oto Kafuku, who was the wife of the main character, and you have Masaki Okada as Kashinev Takasuki. So I'm sorry I butchered those names, but those are the main characters in this film. And of course, Kashinev Takasuki was an actor in this movie, and that's part of the narrative of this film. But this is a film that is really mainly about these two characters. This man who is a screenwriter, he's a director, he's directing a play in this film, and different changes go on in his life. He gets to Hiroshima, where he is coupled with this young lady who is assigned to drive his car, as he has been hired to direct this play, which is Uncle Vanya. It's just a very fascinating story of character development between these two characters, as well as the characters that are part of the production that he's directing. And it's just an incredible film, an incredible journey, an incredible meditative story that is just mesmerizing, that I really enjoyed. But let me take a moment to read the description on the back here from Criterion. Drive my car. Only Ryusuke Hamaguchi, with his extraordinary sensitivity to the mysterious resonances of human interactions, could sweep up international awards, including the Oscar for Best International Feature, and galvanize audiences everywhere with a pensive 3-hour movie, presented in 9 languages and adapted from Haruki Murakami stories about an experimental staging of an Anton Chekhov play, Uncle Vanya. With Drive My Car, the Japanese director has confirmed his place among contemporary cinema's most vital voices. 2 years after his wife's unexpected death, Yusuke Kafuku, played by Hidetoshi Nishijima, arrives in Hiroshima to direct a production of Uncle Vanya for a theater festival, and through relationships with an actor, Masaki Okada, with whom he shares a tangled history, and chauffeur Toko Miurui, with whom he develops a surprising rapport, finds himself facing up to his emotional scars. This quietly mesmerizing tale of love, art, grief, and healing is ultimately a cathartic exploration of what it means to go on living when there seems to be no road ahead. That is an absolutely beautiful way to describe this film, and this is such a rewarding film to watch, because this film, to me, I'm still processing it in my mind, but the main takeaway I gather from this movie is when you think about how human beings deal with love and loss and grief and disappointment and the imperfections in human relationships, and we love the people that are in our lives, but those people are imperfect, and we see their imperfections. We see that in many ways they love us, but in some ways they betray us. We see our own imperfections, and we're basically a collection of imperfect people in an imperfect world, and life is messy. And how we deal with and process these things is a big part of this incredible movie that, again, I will say is meditative, because there's so many conversations around what is the meaning of what has happened in my life, what is the meaning of with the loss of my wife, and then there's other grief that is talked about in this film that I won't spoil. There's other elements there that this main character here is wrestling with in his life. There's other elements that he's dealing with and processing. In addition to the death of his wife, they're also dealing with other things. And then also getting to know the character here, the young woman who plays his driver, and her backstory. And she's driving his car, but there's so much more to who she is as a character. Who is this young woman? What is her backstory? What is her life? And how they get to know one another over the course of this 3-hour film is an extraordinary journey that if you're into a film like this, and I think that's gonna be the big question. This is a 3-hour film. It is meditative. There are stretches where you have long conversations. You're seeing the car go through those landscapes and cityscapes, and the cinematography around that is absolutely breathtaking. It is so beautiful. The different cityscapes and landscapes, the nighttime scenes, the daytime scenes that you see them traversing the landscape while they're in the car. So you have those moments, and then you have the moments where they're actually acting out, you know, the whole process of putting together the play and everything. But there's a lot of meditation and thought and contemplation and introspection in this movie. And if you're up for that type of a film, I think you're really gonna enjoy Drive My Car. If you're not up for that type of a film, if you're more of an action spectacle type of a movie goer, and that's the kind of movie you like, you're probably not gonna like this film. I'll just tell you that right up front. But if you're into this type of a movie that really makes you think and makes you process, you know, how we deal with different things that happen in our lives and what it means to be human, this is an extraordinary, extraordinary film that I highly recommend. It is absolutely one of the best films that I've seen this year. I put it up there with the Worst Person in the World. Of course, they were competing in the same category. I can't sit here and tell you which film is better. They're two very different films. I think this film was a worthy winner of the category. When you hear that it won Best International Feature and you see this film, I think you really gain an appreciation for why this film won Best International Feature. It is just an extraordinary work from Ryusuke Hamaguchi, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from this director, and I'm very happy that it has come into the Criterion Collection at spine number 1136. So very worthy addition to the collection. But this was a great journey to go through. I want to actually see this film again. Again, it is 3 hours, so it is a long watch, but I want to see this film again just to take in some of what I missed, because there's a lot going on in this film in the way of conversations in the car. And that's a big part of this film in terms of the different conversations, processing life's occurrences and the characters back and forth talking to one another, whether it's the actor that is part of his play that he's engaged with and his backstory, which is very interesting, or whether it's between the man and the driver and them developing their relationship, almost a father-daughter type relationship, which I found to be very, very interesting. But it really just comes down to how we as human beings process the imperfect interactions with each other and what it means and how we go on about the business of living life even when there seems to be no purpose to it. So I found Drive My Car to be absolutely phenomenal, and I can definitely recommend it if you think this is the kind of film you might be up for. Now, this is, of course, a new entry in the Criterion Collection. It has a nice set of supplements, not a stacked edition by any means. But let me talk for a second about the picture quality of this Blu-ray. This is a Blu-ray, it's not a 4K Ultra HD. And right off the top, I'll tell you, of course, this is a 2021 film. It was shot digitally in a fully digital workflow on Arri Alexa cameras, I believe, and it shows on this presentation. This is a beautiful, clean, pristine, almost perfect looking picture. I mean, the car itself, the color of the car, it just pops off the screen. It just looks absolutely fantastic. Everything looks natural, rich, alive, organic, bright. It just looks alive in the nighttime scenes, in the daytime scenes. This film shines as it should. It's a 2021 film. It's a new film. It was recently shot digitally on high-end Arri Alexa cameras, and it shows on this Blu-ray disc. This film looks spectacular on Blu-ray. So I'll just say that up front. The sound is also excellent, which is a big part of this movie, is the soundscape. Of course, you got 5.1 surround sound, and you hear the different sounds along the soundscape very well, and it takes full advantage of those 5.1 channels. So I really enjoyed that. So the overall presentation is very strong for this Blu-ray disc of Drive My Car. And I'm gonna take a look at my notes here because I took notes on a few things that I wanna make sure I come across here in this video, because there's so much going on in this movie. It's, of course, based on a short story. I don't have the author's name, But one of the things that Ryusuke Hamaguchi did in this film is he changed the model and the color of the car. I think in the short story, it was a yellow cabriolet. And so he changed it to a bright red Saab in this movie, and I think it fit the film cinematically a little bit better, and it really pops as you see the car moving through the cityscapes and the landscapes. It just gives you an appreciation for the beauty of the environment, but also the beauty of the car moving through the environment. And I thought that was beautiful. The music from Ieko Ishibashi, beautiful. The music is wonderful in this film and a big part of the experience of this film. And then in the features, Ryusuke Hamaguchi talks about how, you know, sometimes talking with words can prevent communication. And he talked a lot about nonverbal communication and how so much can be communicated without saying a word. One of the big things about this film is, of course, the main character is directing a play, Uncle Vanya, and of course you see that whole process of making a film or making a play, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate about movies like this is a movie within a movie. Of course, this is a play in this case, but you see the production of a play and how they go about casting characters, how they have characters read the actual play, and so you have those reading sessions and how the director directs the different actors. So I really appreciated seeing that behind the scenes aspect of conducting a big time stage play. So I love that sort of movie within a movie aspect of Drive My Car, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed about it. Of course, some of the other main supporting characters come out of that production of the play, including the actor that he had a lot of interaction with. That's a big part of the story. And the other thing about it is this play featured multinational players. So you had so many different players who brought different languages to the table, including a young lady who was one of the characters who did Korean Sign Language. So you had Japanese spoken in this film, you had Korean spoken in this film, Korean Sign Language, you had English, German, Tagalog. You had all these different languages from these various cultures intermixed in this film, and it just is such a huge part of what you're capturing in terms of the multinational flavor of the story. So I really, really dug that. And one of the big takeaways from this film is just the inventive way that Ryusuke Hamaguchi shot this film in terms of the scenes inside the car. The scenes inside the car and the conversations is such a big part of Drive My Car because you get so much out of those conversations. And I just thought that was amazing. Ryusuke Hamaguchi talks about the influence of Kiyoshi Kurosawa. Kiyoshi Kurosawa had a big influence on Ryusuke Hamaguchi, and of course, Kiyoshi Kurosawa is the director of a film that's about to be released in Criterion in October, Cure, the 1997 film Cure, that I'm very excited about, and a lot of people are very excited about it. That director was a big influence on Ryusuke Hamaguchi, director of Drive My Car. So I thought that was interesting. He talked about how acting is not about putting on a mask, but about revealing who you are. So I thought that was just very fascinating. So there's a lot to take in and process about this film. I think you'll enjoy it if you're up for a film like this. In terms of the special features, again, it's not an incredibly packed edition. This is a new 2K digital master approved by Ryusuke. You got the 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. You have a new interview with Hamaguchi on here, very good interview. You also have a program about the making of the film. You see a lot of the behind the scenes aspects of making the film and the different settings that they're in, because you see a lot of different settings in this film, whether it's the landscapes, the cityscapes, you see areas where they're in snow, just a lot of different scenes that they're in, whether it's in Hiroshima or other areas of Japan. You also have a very nice press conference from the premiere at the Cannes Film Festival that features a lot of the main players of this film, including director Ryusuke Hamaguchi, as well as the actors. So that was very good. You have a trailer on here as well. And then of course, if you look inside the case here, you have the insert. Of course, I have the Blu-ray on the player in here. But on the inside, you have this sole picture of the main character, which is very indicative of this film. And then you also have this insert here for Drive My Car. This is very nice. This is the front, this is the back. And then on the inside, you have these elements here, which I think is very, 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 very cool. The standard information about the transfer, the restoration. Of course, it wasn't really a restoration, it's really more of a transfer. It's a brand new film. And of course, on the inside, you have Grace Notes by Brian Washington, which is an excellent essay that I highly, highly recommend that you read. But overall, this is a very nice edition of an incredible film. And I don't know if there will be an edition in the future of this movie that contains more special features. Again, it's not a stacked edition, but it's just enough to give you a flavor and an idea more of this director, Ryusuke Hamaguchi, who he is, what influenced his filmmaking, what influences his filmmaking, and the production of this film, and you get to hear from the actors and their experiences making this movie. So it's just enough to give you a little bit more flavor and context behind this amazing film. But I don't know if they're gonna produce a more, greater special edition with more features in the future, but for now, this edition from the Criterion Collection comes highly, highly recommended. Let me know in the comments section, have you seen Drive My Car? If so, what do you think about this film? And what do you think about the story that it presents? And what do you think about what it says about life and life's journey? Let me know that in the comments below. And also let me know, what are some other films from Ryusuke Hamaguchi that you've seen? Of course, for me, this film, Drive My Car, is my very first Ryusuke Hamaguchi film. If you've seen other films from this director, what are some other films that you'd recommend from Mr. Ryusuke? Let us know that in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time in the movies, and hope you continue to enjoy a Criterion summer. Peace.